All I'm saying is there are a lot of people pushing full ROM as well as lengthened partial training. Now, a lot of those guys are quite young.
You must be talking about me. What's up, everybody? So, our good friend Hans sent me this video and told me I should watch it because it seems relevant to me. And I agree. But I don't take anything personal because, I'm so. For me, dialogue is always entertaining. I'm entertained by this discourse. Uh, I long ago stopped taking arguments in comment sections seriously. And it's been the greatest thing for my mental health. And I certainly don't take civil discourse, serious in the sense I don't take offense to it. So that's why this is all laid back to me. If it seems like this would, oh, well, he called you out. No, he didn't call me out. It didn't even register on my radar.
And when you're young, you can get away with a lot. Doesn't mean you should do something just because you can get away with it. Now, when you're older,
Yeah, introductions. We have to introduce our friend over here, Baz Lives. I'm sure few of my viewers know who he is. I'm sure they're from his channel. I'm sure he's watching this too. Matter of fact, I've talked to him. I've talked in his comments. He's written my comments. See, we've had discourse before. See, and none of it's personal. Nothing's personal. Even this video.
you don't have the benefit of youth. And so what you do matters a lot more. Now, when you're younger, the perspective is, I can do this because I'm not an old guy, I'm going to get injured. Actually, if you reverse that position, let me put it to you another way. How about this? When you're younger, you can get away with a lot of dumb shit. When you're older,
That statement, but our visualization of dumb shit deviates maybe at some cases. He's probably thinking about execution and I'm thinking about execution, but I'm also thinking about like concepts such as momentum, velocity, force, load. He might be thinking of those things, and he might be thinking about things such as, oh, I don't know, flies to the floor, to dips where your hands are level to your ears or something absurd like that. I don't know anyone who could do lifts like that, but maybe he means that when he's referring to that. I have a little different visualization.
you can't get away with stuff anymore. You have to get it right. That's a different perspective, isn't it? It's a perspective which some of you younger guys may not have thought of before. You may just think, older guy, he's going to get injured no matter what. I think, having been a younger guy and an older guy, I think it's probably more realistic to say, you younger guys, you can get away with a lot of stuff. Doesn't mean you should do it. When you're
Well, if we want to use like the n equals 1 example, 4 years ago when I was younger, and yeah, 4 years ago, 3.5, 4.5, anywhere in that net, I was getting repeated knee sprains from my high volume quad workouts. First, it was a pop in the left one. Was it the right one? Well, it was okay. It was both over all of it. So if it was the left side or the right side, we'll say first it was the right side, and then eventually that one recovered, and then I'm doing my regular stuff in my own variations, and then one day in a video that I upload in the same workout, I pull a quad and like strain the other knee, the left knee, so I have a quad pull and quad strain, and I still kept working out. Is you don't even notice that it's an injury or like a strain, and you just keep going. There was one of those. I think type 1, one of the most mild ones, but it was a legitimate quad strain. How often do you see quad strains? And back then, um I wasn't doing those super deep squats or super deep anything for for anything really, much of anything. And that happened. I was squatting to parallel, 1 inch below parallel. That happened. You you as an example. And now frame of reference or fast forward 4 years later, and I'm doing all of these other things, and I'm not straining my knees, and I'm not pulling quads, despite putting my quads into more precarious positions every single time I do a lift. Now, could it have been that the weight and the volume and the overuse was it, and not the lift variation? Probably. And that's probably what I'm arguing. You know, that's probably what really does it. That's the real damage, is that overuse over a period of time with enough volume and weight over and over.
My age, it starts to matter a lot more. So for a lot of younger guys, late 20s,
Well, actually, even though I bring myself up, the truth is I've been in a lot of discords, I've been in a lot of servers, I've heard a lot of people's anecdotes on Instagram, on YouTube, on Discord, like I said. And you will have kids who are younger than me, 16 years old, 18 years old. These guys are like a decade younger than me, basically. And they will complain about things like knee tendonitis, about their SI joint, or their bicep tendon from grabbing barbells, or their shoulders or their elbows, anything that you would predict. And what are they doing when you look at what they're doing? Usually, in the most cases, they're running some sort of program that has a progression scheme, powerlifting model, Jamal Browner, Ed Cohen, whatever. Oh, they are running whatever flavor of the month, their favorite powerlifter, whatever, anything. Maybe they're running Gray Skull. It could be anything. But what's happening is these are beginner lifters who haven't had a history of injuries, don't have a long history resume of lifting, period. And within their first year or 2 years, they are already suffering what are legitimately injuries that impair them somehow from making progress either optimally or at all. And these aren't strong, big people, these are beginners. So it's not just age, and it's not just strength. There's more that goes into why people get hurt. I see people who I know they're still working to an 180 kg deadlift 1 rep max, and along the way they're saying, "Oh, my back didn't flare up this time," or squatting. They're squatting in the less than 3 plates for any amount of reps, and they're getting knee tendonitis. Like they're still trying to hit these nice little milestones, beginner milestones, and they're already hitting speed bumps basically. And these are sometimes not even small speed bumps. I don't hit speed bumps. The worst thing yesterday, I don't even want to talk about it. Maybe I'll show the accident, but the thing is, I don't hit like speed bumps like that where, oh, my elbow has tendonitis, so now I have to stop doing everything and like change it up, so I have to progress slower and be more wary of my joint or my distal tricep or a distal elbow or anything like that. With rare exceptions that are like very acute, maybe not even from the gym sometimes, that go away within a week or two, that are not actual chronic long term or moderate term injuries. So the point of that is, I don't think you could be weak, you could be small, you could be young, and you could still be getting hurt, and you could still be getting injured, and it's not just because, just because.
early 30s, whatever, even up to mid 30s, you might be saying, actually, maybe Faz, it was your implementation which was wrong. Maybe you just did it wrong, but actually it's very safe. I'm not going to tell you what to do. All I'm going to say is my experience is when I was younger, I could get away with a lot of dumb shit that I cannot get away with now when I'm older. And I would just caution you to say, look, at a certain point, your body will stop allowing you to get away with dumb shit. And then you're going to get hurt. So
It's actually also relevant to what I said. The ones that don't get hurt are the ones that are resilient and okay. Now it messed me up. Predisposed to being resilient. So that's actually the survivorship bias and the survivorship right there, where people who do get results are the ones who assert what they did is what you do to get results. This is well known. I mean, it's predictable. It's not a surprise. And, you know, everybody, and actually, the body is in a constant state as you get older of degeneration of everything, neurodegeneration, just gradually losing, neurons, and everything's breaking down and not building back up the same as it used to, gradually and surely but slowly but surely. I mean, you will eventually become more and more dilapidated and weaker in spite of everything you do as you age. You won't be as strong at 80 as you are at 30, no matter what you do. So, yes, when you're older, you won't be able to do what you did when you were younger. That is not a like a controversial statement. Although evidence-based people will say, "Oh, you can't make claims like elderly can't make progress." Nobody here made that claim.
Bear in mind, this technique we're talking about here is not mandatory for lifting. It's optional.
He's right. The truth is, and you could go to my videos from 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even this year, even this year, and you'll see I wasn't doing lengthened partials. But what people don't understand, this is something that maybe I'll explain in a bit when he gets to it. Most people don't realize that the lift that they're doing is a physiological lengthened partial, like a bench press. This might shock you all, but no matter what you do, dip, bench, dumbbell bench, you're not getting the full range of motion of the pec. Doesn't matter if you come all the way back here. The thing is, coming up here is not the full range of motion of the pec. If you wanted to fully shorten the pec, you would bring the humerus all the way around and rotate that shit like this. And then you would get one hell of a contraction. It would feel like you did 10 sets in a second. But the thing is, who's doing that? Does anyone actually do the real full ROM, the actual full ROM of the muscle itself? No. So even when you say, well, bench press full ROM, the full ROM of the lift, what does it mean if it's a full ROM? It's the full ROM of what you can do with that apparatus at that angle on that bench. It's not necessarily the full ROM of what your body could do. You see? So does it matter if you stop arbitrarily on something that isn't even really full ROM? You understand the perspective?
Have to do it. So if it's
My pec is cramping from that. Thanks a lot. You made me do full ROM and now my pec cramped from that. And it's like feeling even more sore. You see, that's what I mean. People think this is the full ROM. Come on. You guys. I'm sorry, but if you want to get technical, you have to know these things.
in my opinion, it significantly increases injury risk. That's my opinion. That's my experience. And I'm not going to say do it to my clients, because my first call of duty to my clients is to keep them safe. Do no harm is the first point.
Actually, what I think too. Other than when I get egotistical and I start doing fly presses with, I don't know, 70s to 80s, then I'm getting a little egotistical. But my default is for self-preservation. That's my default, is to do whatever is preserving me to keep going and not break into a million pieces. That's why you see me doing these really light weights and really slow, because those are the forces of that is way less than high force ballistic full range of motion where you can accelerate, because that's the thing. That's the thing about why the full range of motion, and fine, he'll talk about it.
For call. And just at this point, I want to just point out, I know that my friend, my brother, Paris Butler, Bald Omni Man, he's recommended full range of motion, preacher curls, and the implementation of those slowly and gradually. This is not anything personal against anyone in the community, but I think with that, I think people are going to disagree, basically. I think that's probably an area I disagree with him, but I still fully respect his opinion. But this is my opinion coming from my experience.
Okay, that's what I was waiting for all along. So, with the example with the chest and the full ROM, well, we'll go with that. So, the thing about the preacher curl, and this is a common misconception, is that people assume that it's a lengthened exercise or a stretching exercise. I mean, it's a it's a lengthened, not lengthened bias, but it's a lift that is biased in the most lengthened position of the lift. That's the that's the nuance there, or that's the distinction, the little detail. It's the fact that the preacher curl is hardest in the range where the torque and everything is high, really high, when the arm is completely extended. And the difference is other lifts that might actually be more optimal on paper, like incline curls, and this is what they refer to in the study, is that even though the bicep is in a more lengthened position, the resistance is not there's not enough there's not a lot of resistance there, so that cancels out its efficacy. Well, we'll get to that anyway. And the thing about the preacher curl is that it's not full range of motion of the bicep. It's not full length, not even close. Because if you actually look at my bicep right here, or if you want to look at this one, whichever one you want to look at, this would be a preacher curl right here. But you would think, oh, this is the length of the bicep. Okay, well, you can look at this, you can look at that, right? But if you're here and then you just come back here and you look at my bicep now, even from here with this low res ass camera, you can see that it's a whole lot longer and tighter right here than it is right here. Look, see, look. It's not magic, right? You see, it's the same position, right? But it's not, because now the shoulder's extended and this thing is getting pulled on. You see, you do. The bicep would never get long at both sides on a preacher curl, or even really throughout all of the forearm flexors in a way. So you're here. Now what's the difference? What's the difference when you're here and come back? You'll see that there's a lot more tension right where it inserts into the shoulder, right here especially. And also, here's another misconception that I hear a lot, that I just don't know why people are so obsessed, is keeping the elbows tucked in and keeping the arm supinated. If you pay attention to my arm, supinated. This is supinated, right? Supinated. And then if I just do this, if I just do that, it gets longer. You see, look. This is the bicep supinated. Now it's pronated. If you pronate your wrist, you get more separation, you get more length. This comes down. This actually comes down. This stretches out more, and you actually work more of the brachioradialis. You work more of the forearm flexor right here. You're basically working all of the forearm, the arm flexor muscles. And you know what? Here's something that you never considered. Nobody considered. People talk about how the bicep is a shoulder flexor and elbow flexor. If the thing is though, there are a lot of little muscles in this arm right here, and one of the muscles is called there's so many of them, coracobrachialis. Look it up. And that muscle is one of those weird muscles that inserts into from your scapula, from over here, into your arm. So like it inserts from here into here. And when you have your arm out flexed right here, it actually is right there and is giving more thickness right there than your biceps or any other muscle. This is a muscle that gives your arm more dimension, but it's not the bicep. And what does it do? Well, it's also flexes the arm, but the difference is instead of going into stretch under extension, it goes under stretch with abduction. So when your arm comes back like this, which is how you guys see me do my incline curls, I let my arm sweep back when I'm laying back. And when it sweeps back, this gets tension. This gets tension. You see this insertion right here where it inserts into the armpit. And that's why this little extra crease, it has more the girth and more dimension. And it's these little things that get neglected, and people will say, "Oh, well, preacher curls are full range of motion." When what is it? What is it the full range of motion of? That's what I want to know.
This is not a reflection on anything he's saying or anybody else in the community. I'm not trying to pick a fight with Milo Wolf, for example. I'm just telling you my experience, what I've seen, what I've experienced, and my recommendation for my clients. From an injury point of view, risk to reward, it's not worth it. We're not talking about major fundamental factors of training here. We're talking about a very niche thing. And I don't think it's necessary. And I don't think the risk to reward is there. I think it's a new shiny thing, which is drawing a lot of people.
One of the one of the known elements is the fact that takes a longer punch has more time to accelerate to its maximal velocity. Well, what they're saying is these skinny, lengthy guys with long arms who have no apparent mass are able to generate such force in their punches when they extend their arm long and straight. Well, why is that? One of the physics explanation is the fact that they have so much distance to accelerate. So that's why they generate a lot of force when they extend long. And then you have people like Mike Tyson, who has short, stocky arms relatively, and his punches are hard, like from here without foot extension, because he could hit you short. He doesn't need fat. He doesn't need time to generate velocity. He has the mass and the force already. But tying this back into lifting, because you Faz brought up physics, biology, these things which might get neglected by exercise science fans in the comments, or even maybe some practitioners, he might argue. But yeah, so the thing about that with curls, when you do a preacher curl, for example, and you go all the way up and you go into this active insufficiency, flex the shoulder, flex the bicep, and then what happens is you're up here where the muscle is slacked, and you have all of this distance to potentially generate velocity. And in contrast, when you're doing a partial preacher curl right here, and you just come up to right here, this is your distance. You don't have time to ever get substantial velocity to do that. If you're here, you're also, when your muscles create all those little cross bridges and they create tense and all this passive tension, all that stuff, what happens is your muscles generate friction at the joint, and that causes the joint to slow down when it's rotating, versus right here where there's no cross bridges, there is no tension in the muscle, so it's just like whoop, you have more likelihood to drop a weight at a high enough velocity to really mess your bicep tendons up. But if you're right here and just go right here, and you just go slowly right here, you never achieve those peak forces, ballistic forces. That's my rant.
able to it, but some of you may be able to get away with it because you're young. I also don't buy into the argument of if you do it when you're younger, you'll be able to do it when you're older. I don't.
About this, like 10, 15 minutes ago. Anyway, I talked a lot for this video. I'm gonna upload this one and I might finish up because I like to babble and drone on and on. So that's why this one took a little bit too long, but I'll upload it and see if I want to make another one. It's been fun. Again, no, nothing personal. I don't do these things because of hate. I just wanted to respond and show some muscles in my biceps. All right, boom. So it's been fun. Remember, it's right here. Right? Look that one up. Coracobrachialis.